Welcome to Cold Brew Finance's EOW U.S. Market Deep Dive, covering market moves in indexes, sectors, stocks, and global markets. The week ending Friday, March 20th, 2026 marks another pivotal moment in the financial world. Kicking things off, I'm Max Profit. A turbulent week for key indexes. The S&P 500 index slipped 1.8% to close at 6,506.49. Dow 30 index and Nasdaq Composite Index fell 2.1% and 2%, respectively, both showcasing strong downward volatility over 4 consecutive weeks of declines. S&P 400 Midcap Index and Russell 2000 Index also faced downtrends. In market breadth, it's a week of broad declines. The S&P 500 Index saw 403 out of 491 stocks decline, signaling widespread bearish sentiment. Similarly, the Dow 30 Index recorded just 3 advancers against 27 decliners. All indexes reflect weaker performance, showing a significant bias towards declines. Weekly metrics further underscore the decline. The Dow 30 Index posted a 2.1% drop, while the Nasdaq Composite Index echoed this with a 2% decrease. Steep monthly declines are led by S&P 400 Midcap Index, down 7.8%. Year-to-date, gains have eroded across major indexes, with turbulence marking the week's end. Over the longer term, despite current volatility, the Nasdaq Composite Index boasts a robust 10-year ARR of 16.26%. Meanwhile, the S&P 500 Index achieved an impressive 21.74% total return over the same period. Ranked similarly, other indexes portray a more stable, positive long-term view despite recent headwinds.
Checking out best and worst performing equities, I'm Penny Stock. Artelo Biosciences lead the week's top performers with a closing price of $7.97, up by 4.21, a jump of 111.9%. This shows a very strong positive trend and significant upward volatility, closing up for 2 consecutive weeks. Another strong performer, LanzaTech Global, closed the week at 22.54, climbing 11.55 with a 105% jump. This strong positive trend continued with 3 consecutive weekly increases. Meanwhile, Eversource Energy rose 1.17, closing the week at 2.38, reflecting a mixed positive trend amidst very strong volatility. Among long-term performers, Aliana posted a 78.5% increase to close at 7.7. It maintained a strong positive trend. On the other hand, despite a drop, Caesarstone hit a new all-time low, closing at 1.9, showing a very strong negative trend, but recorded some long-term declines. On the big cap front, APA achieved a new 1-year high, ending at 39.11, up 4.64, continuing its 10-week winning streak. Baker Hughes followed, closing at 60.35, marking an 11.2% weekly rise with a continuing strong upward trend. Also notable, Halliburton reached a new 1-year high, closing at 36.53, a gain of 2.84. Meanwhile, Delta Airlines recorded a mixed negative trend, ending the week at 63.44, despite a rise of 4.66, illustrating sideways movement. Over the longer term, Western Digital celebrated an all-time high closure of 293.10, up 20.81. This marked the second week of progressing upward moves amid some volatility. In contrast, APA posted considerable multi-year gains, emphasizing strong and sustained positive momentum. Diving into the worst performers, Meiwu Technology experienced a severe drop, closing at 0.15, down 1.65 or 91.7%, hitting a new all-time low with a very strong negative trend. Others struggling included Paranovus Entertainment Technology, which fell to a record low at 0.31, decreasing 1.31 or 81%. Similarly, Creative Media and Community Trust slumped by 80.1%, closing at 0.13, with a very strong negative trend and some ongoing volatility. In the past week, Meiwu Technology recorded a significant drop, closing at 15 cents. The price fell by 1.65, translating to a drastic plunge of 91.7%. Most notably, it achieved a new all-time lower close, marking a very strong negative trend. Key big-cap stocks faced a downturn, with Supermicro dropping 33.2% to close at 20.53. This marks its lowest annual close, strengthening the very strong negative trend observed over 4 consecutive weeks of decline. This week, Mosaic fell 19.5%, closing at 23.59. With a noticeable downtrend and strong negative momentum, the company's percentage decline signifies a consistent weekly descent in its market performance. Recently, Newmont experienced significant volatility, dropping 12.5% to close at 95.80. Despite its mixed negative trend and strong downward volatility, Newmont's long-term performance remains relatively stable, with remarkable total returns over the past 10 years.
And now on to U.S. sector performance. The energy sector led with a strong positive trend, closing at 905.89, up 2.7%. It marks the 13th straight week of gains. The sector hit a new all-time high with some upward volatility. Meanwhile, the financial services sector also closed up, albeit with a negative trend at 813.13. In contrast, the communications services sector fell 1.5%, showing a mixed negative trend. Both the industrial sector and the technology sector experienced a decline of 1.8%, both continuing recent downward trends. In terms of market breadth, the energy sector shows significant strength with 106 weekly advances against 41 declines. This sector has maintained its upward trajectory for 13 weeks. Comparatively, the financial services sector shows mixed results despite a weekly closure increase, with more declines than advances. The communications services sector suffered multiple weeks of losses with uneven growth. Meanwhile, the industrial sector and technology sector also showed more declines than advances, reflecting broader sector-wide stresses. Evaluating returns, the energy sector continues strong, delivering a 2.7% weekly return with an average daily gain of 0.55%. In contrast, the financial services sector shows modest improvements short-term with a one-week gain, yet struggles monthly and year-to-date. The communications services sector lost 1.5% this week, suffering flat returns year-to-date. Meanwhile, the industrial sector and technology sector also posted negative weekly performances, but with mixed long-term trajectories. Looking at annual returns, the energy sector shows robust 10-year figures with an ARR of 6.7%. The financial services sector follows, indicating a 10-year ARR of 10.23%. Notably, the communications services sector and industrial sector both show reasonable long-term growth. Lastly, the technology sector stands out with a 21.79% IRR over 10 years, reflecting substantial tech sector expansion.
Today, energy stocks are showing impressive gains with APA leading the pack. It closed at 39.11, rising 4.64, marking a 13.4% increase, thanks to a very strong positive trend and 10 straight weeks of upward momentum. Similarly, Baker Hughes wrapped up at 60.35, gaining 6.9, indicative of a strong upward trend. Halliburton finished at 36.53, up 2.84, with new one-year higher closes. Coterra Energy and Diamondback Energy also recorded new highs, closing at 33.97 and 192.54, respectively, showing consistent positive trends. For this week's returns, APA shines with a one-week total return of 13.4% and consecutive gains over the last 10 weeks. Meanwhile, Baker Hughes displays an 11.2% total return for the week, despite a slight monthly dip. Continuing the trend, Halliburton and Coterra Energy achieve positive signals with new one-year highs, posting returns of 8.4% and 5.6%. Diamondback Energy sees a 5.5% weekly gain, reflecting its strong standing. Examining long-term performance, APA posts a remarkable one-year total return of 90.13%, despite a negative trend over a decade. Conversely, Baker Hughes boasts a robust 10-year total return of 81.72%, benefiting from a stable positive trend. Halliburton and Coterra Energy display modest long-term gains with 6.34% and 49.19% over 10 years. Notably, Diamondback Energy excels with a 148% return over a decade, indicative of its resilience in the market.
The slide highlights the worst-performing sectors this week. Utilities fell significantly by 5%, closing at 450.53, with a mixed positive trend. Other laggards include basic materials, down 4.5%, showing strong downward volatility, and consumer defensive also slipping 4.4%. Real estate and healthcare sectors continued declining for 3 consecutive weeks, marking 4% and 3% decreases respectively. Market breadth data reveals a challenging week for these sectors. In utilities, only 6 stocks advanced, while 79 declined over the week. Basic materials saw similar negativity with 166 declines against 37 advances. Consumer defensive followed suit with more declines than advances, pointing to mixed trends and consistent downward pressure. Real estate was notably weak, recording 187 declines against 37 advances. Healthcare showed strong downward volatility with 665 declines over the week. Reviewing returns, utilities had a weekly total return of -5.03%, bringing its year-to-date total return to 3.85%. The basic materials sector saw a larger month-to-date decline of 12.74%. The consumer defensive sector also struggled, with a month-to-date decline of 9.39%. Meanwhile, real estate and healthcare faced downward trends, contributing to their poor performance. In annual returns metrics, the utilities sector shows a 10-year annual rate of return of 6.18%, despite recent declines. Meanwhile, basic materials had a 7.53% annual return over the decade. The consumer defensive sector saw a 5.34% return. Healthcare is notable, achieving an 8.1% return across 10 years.
In the utilities sector, many stocks are struggling. Eversource Energy ended at 66.67, dropping by 6.43, marking its third week of declines. Vistra faced a significant downturn, with a closing negative trend at 146.2, down by 12.93. Both Constellation Energy and Xcel Energy went down for 3 weeks straight, showing a weakening trend. Getting into returns for the week, Eversource Energy has a one-week return of -8.8%, with continued decline over 3 weeks. This troubling path is mirrored by Vistra, experiencing a strong negative trend at -8.1% over the same period. Exelon, despite hitting highs, has a mixed performance, closing down at 46.44. Over the long haul, some utilities are bucking trends. Vistra shows a notable 3-year total return, with a 482% increase in annual terms. Meanwhile, Constellation Energy is strong with over 266% returns over 3 years. In contrast, Eversource Energy struggled, closing lower at 66.67, showing weak returns over a decade.
Thanks for watching. I'm Max Profit, along with my AI co-host Penny Stock. Please like, subscribe, comment, share. Cold Brew Finance is an experimental project with market reports written, narrated, and delivered totally by AI, with market data kindly provided by financialmodelingprep.com. Always seek professional financial advice before making any investment decisions. Check into the channel daily for coverage of stocks, crypto, currency, and commodities. Thanks for watching.